All right, welcome to another episode of the Chart Readers. Today we are going to look at the EV sector. It's been about a week since we made the videos. What are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We're going to look at the daily and the weekly. We're going to use our 5 moving averages. There's only one here, but we will use these horizontal support and resistance lines that I do manually draw. And then once we're done up here, we'll use the MACD and the RSI as our lower indicators. So last time we made this video was on the 24th. It's actually been a full trading week. And this has definitely been a good trading week, right? I'll be honest, it looked like there was going to be a fail here. Really, the video before last, around here, I thought there was going to be a good little run on Tesla. I was pretty much 1 week early, and it did actually end up happening this week. Almost a 10-15% run, right? One of the things that bothers me on this, and I'm gonna highlight it here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days of red in a row is what should be a gap fill, okay? And we had what looked like good momentum to go, but clearly all we've been able to do is ride this 20. I think the big factor, I'm going to draw the line because this is definitely a new line. It's pretty much the top of this day. So again, like I said, last week, not last, 2 weeks ago, sorry about that. I remember thinking we were going to run, and obviously it failed. It started to go this week. Even this red day, it wanted to go up. It opened right here, actually got as high as right there, which really started the climb of the gap, right? But then ultimately finished here. You know, I'm glad these 2 days were able to get over the 20, obviously stay over the 8, but this line is ultimately what's going to decide if we fill this gap or not, right? And look, there's a few places it'll go. Obviously, this line is from some past, but just immediately there should be nothing. Maybe this guy right here will stop the gap fill. Otherwise, we would let me zoom out. This is the lowest one. We would pretty much come to about right here, 270, right? So we would either hit 260 or 270 from right here, or we're just not going to get over this 230 line, right? So just watch it. It's definitely worth setting an alert for the morning. If it gets over that, shit, you know, hopefully we're going to run out that gap, right? If it doesn't, I don't know if we might lose the 20 and the 8. Now, I'll be honest, I've been a little pessimistic on Tesla, right? And a lot of that comes on the weekly. Well under the 8, right? Where I see this uptrend. Don't get me wrong, I do see it, but we need to get over the 8 on the weekly, right? Otherwise, everything is, for lack of words, short-lived. That's kind of how I see it, right? From there, we have red over green, red over green. It looks like the green wants to keep going down. These are both bad. The fact that we're under the 8 is bad. And again, it just kind of makes me wonder if we're actually going to fill this gap or not. So just, I know there's a good amount of positivity on the daily over these two, green over red. But again, you take the zoom out view, you understand what these immediate support and resistances are, and it kind of paints a different picture sometimes, right? So again, just over 230 could be real good. Otherwise, I've been saying this might go under 200 for a bit now, in all honesty, and I'm still sticking to that until the NASDAQ does better and really this weekly looks better. So that's a pretty good recap of Tesla, I would say. So Ford was on the check it out list last week, and it definitely delivered, right? Almost, is that about a 10%? Yeah, that's about a 10% fill right there, right? And it pretty much went from down here, literally right to the natural resistance, right? Let me zoom out just a little bit. So again, this is a cluster of 2 right there. If it could get over, really, it should come back up to the 200. And look, all this right here is a bit of a gap fill, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row. Looks like it's pretty much around halfway, I'd say, right? Yeah, we're pretty much a little more than halfway, actually. So yeah, if we can get over this red line, there's really no reason to believe we would not come up to this 1450 line, right? So just set an alert for 1342. You can see right there, that's the average 50 number. Yeah, if at 1343, if we're there, that thing could ride an extra dollar right there, which is almost 10%, right? RSI is a little high, so keep that in mind. Normally in the 80 range, I always say 80 is generally the wall, right? We've seen them get higher, but 80 is a good time to maybe consider banking some of this 10% because we might come down. Now, we maybe will come down just to the 8, hopefully bounce up off the 8, but nonetheless, we might see a cool down. But last week it looked like it was worth looking at, and it so far has delivered, which is nice. On the weekly, right, this is the opposite of what we saw in Tesla. We are 2 weeks over the 8 here, right? That's great. Obviously, still real early on this week, right? But the fact that we broke it last week just really shows the strength of what that does, right? When you're over it, it could be real nice. Even Tesla, just going back to the Tesla real quick, it wasn't as great because the weekly wasn't as great, right? So again, I really do stress the 2 time views for a reason, right? A good weekly is a much better daily. It's generally how it works, you know? So that is why we do this all. So MULN. So where are we? MULN is getting near the be careful range, okay? So when we last made this video, it was right here. I think it was on the 24th, right? I actually thought it was going to keep going up, and really it did have a decent day, and it unfortunately just kind of went a little more horizontal instead of going up to this 100, right? Definitely didn't crash by any means. It was able to use this 50 line really well, right? But at this point, we're starting to show a little bit more of a curve than ideal. Are we actually under? Are we on? So we're right on the 8. You can see that we closed at 0.48, and then the average 8 is also at 0.48, right? So hopefully we don't lose the 8 tomorrow. Hopefully we don't lose the 50. One thing that I did say was put a stop loss right here at 47 at the open of this gap fill, because if we lose that 47 line right there, there's a real good chance we'll come down to the 20. That's just that there's a real good chance if we lose this 47 line, we're coming down. Excuse me. I also don't like this, right? The RSI was looking good. Ooh, excuse me, 2 hiccups there. While we were climbing up, and now looks like the RSI is ready to cool off, and really, it's looking like the RSI might crash, because that's a pretty devastating sharp curve, right? The MACD is positive, but not very positive, right? And the weekly, hey, the weekly is actually a little better than I expected, so maybe this better than expected weekly could help, but again, if we lose 47, which was that other place, we're dropping all the way pretty much to 38 on this weekly, right? I would say, oh wow, yeah, 36 right there. That's actually pretty accurate. That's going to be the 38 if I had to guess. Yeah. So, yeah, if we lose 47, I think this 36 line is actually pretty realistic. So, be careful with MULN. I think there's a chance we bounce off the 50. There's a chance we bounce off the 8. Not looking great. And again, just kind of depending on your risk tolerance. So sad it didn't keep running, actually. So maybe the fact that the other EVs kind of were looking good. There was some movement around, but yeah, interesting. So LIDR. LIDAR's been in a pretty bad place for a while. Right, it's really just been under the 8. It's done these moments of trading horizontal on the 8. That's pretty much what we're seeing here, right? It looked like maybe there's a little bit of a move or kind of back down and coming back to this horizontal on the 8, right? I think until anything significant happens, really for me, I think it would probably be getting over the 20. I would still be very cautious with LIDAR here. Again, very bad weekly. It looks like the RSI wants to get worse. You know, sometimes the stock has just been beat up so much it'll get a little bit of a natural bounce. But yeah, technically speaking, we've seen horizontal trading on the 8 before. This one's a little more above than this one, right? This one's a little more below and on. This one at least has had like an above and on, but nonetheless, I think nothing's really going to matter on LIDAR until we crack the 20 on the daily, right? And again, we kind of looked at this weekly already. Once we crack the 20 on the daily, we'll probably crack that 8 on the weekly. So, yeah, LIDAR, unfortunately, still just kind of struggling. EVGO. All right, so it's now kind of coming back into this channel, right? It was doing a horizontal channel up here. It did a drop. It now looks like it's maybe doing another horizontal channel here. Maybe it'll try to come back up into this again, right? And kind of go back horizontal here, right? So that's kind of the best you can hope for. Really, the worst that could happen is it does this and then loses this and goes down, right? These are at least looking relatively okay. Let's see what the weekly, oh man, that's a bad weekly. I would be a little worried that this falls out and under. Again, maybe you'll be able to kind of fall back up into this, but with this bad weekly, I mean, I'll be honest, 640 seems a little more likely than 850 just based on this, right? I mean, green looks like it wants to keep going down. Green looks like it wants to keep going down. Red over green, right? I mean, I'm a little pessimistic on EVGO here. I am. Overall, we're about halfway done with this, and it's been a pretty mixed bag. Ford looked like the best, but it definitely seems like it could be cooling down. Tesla, like I said, looks like it wants to do this gap fill, but it's not. Polestar, okay, again, right? What are we seeing? Tests of these eights, right? It just hasn't been able to do it consistently. I do like that MACD. That is nice, and it does look like the RSI kind of wants to peak up a little bit. But nonetheless, we've said it a couple times on this video, not really going to be worth the money until we can get over this 20 consistently, right? We need to get over and then confirmation. Unfortunately, that's what happens when you get no confirmation, right? But for now, I'm still unfortunately going to be a little pessimistic on this guy, right? I think if I come into the weekly, yeah, we're definitely in the all-time low range. Better than last week, so hey, we're at least, you know, working our way up and maybe working our way out of this downtrend, right? There's this weekly downtrend, and maybe we'll get another this week and next week good. But yeah, just get over this 20 and then maybe we'll start considering it, or hey, at least do a good 2 days over the 8, right? There really hasn't been a great 2 days over the 8 in quite some time. So that's probably the best couple days over the 8. And when was that? That was basically a month ago. Yeah, a month and a half ago, early September. So Polestar, again, don't buy this because you're assuming it's going to do a MULN run. Wait for the uptrend to confirm, and then, yeah, Polestar should run one day. It's just a matter of not yet, you know, and is the reality of it. But once it uptrends, yeah, Polestar should run. Oh, wow, look at this. Did not know this was happening. This is well worth looking at tomorrow. I had no idea. So, again, very tight, very tight, very tight. Boom. I don't know if there was some news. I don't know if there was some earnings. But at this point, I could see this running to the 50, if not this $4 line. Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch this tomorrow. I'll tell you that much. This would be a resistance. If you can get over both of these, I mean, look how far up the 200 is, right? So the VLDR, I'm not too sure what made it get over this line, but I love that we broke this, and I love that we're over these two. So for me, this is definitely in play tomorrow. VLDR, maybe one of the strongest ones, because Ford, again, looked good, but Ford, watch this real quick. I'm going to go back to Ford. Ford's RSI is so much higher. It did a good run, RSI is getting a little tired. VLDR looks like it might just be starting, because this is still in the 60s. We've still got time, you know, so watch that bad boy for sure. And look at that. We are actually sitting on, obviously it's still Monday, so it's very early on this weekly candle, but we are sitting right on the 8 right there on the weekly. So nice. VLDR, whoop, zoomed in instead of zoom out. Literally, if this opens a penny higher, there's no reason that this doesn't go to, what is that, 106, if not 113. So those are pretty big numbers there, actually. Nice. I will set an alert for that after this. Solo, I remember thinking Solo was going to do all right. It really didn't during the week, right? You can see it definitely struggled right there with the 20. Looks like today, though, it came out with a monster 9%. Again, looks like there's a little baby gap of a fill right there. Did it go till there? No, yeah, almost, but not quite a gap fill. But nonetheless, it broke the 20 nicely. And really, I think this is the first good break in a while. So liking the RSI, liking the MACD. Hey, VLDR and Solo are kind of on that same boat. Well worth a look tomorrow. Again, sitting there, and that's nice. You can see it peaking up. You can see it peaking up. Just a matter of how this week ends, actually. But Interesting. Solo and VLDR. I'm not sure why they did this. I'm glad they did this, obviously. I wish they did it when I thought it would have, though. I'll say that. I thought it was going to do, but instead it did that, right? And look, this is a pattern I've talked about before, right? You go up, you hit a line, you come down, you bounce on your line, and you go up, right? So if you've watched some of these videos, you've seen me talk about that. That's a very common pattern. Really, it just adds the strength on this 8. It shows that, hey, it's ready to actually act like a support. So solo, nice. Charge point tends to trade like Tesla, and really that's actually what is happening here, right? It does look like it's actually over the highest point though, right? So Tesla had it to where it just wasn't getting over that high point. This one is. However, there's just so much moving average noise here, right? There is just a tight cluster. Looked like it lost it, kind of bounced, you can kind of say on the support line maybe, but overall all it really did was moved the horizontal from up there to down here. Maybe it'll just kind of bounce back in this. But yeah, this is pretty much a pretty big cluster window right here. So until we either get well over the 50 or well under the 8, this one's going to be kind of a crapshoot. So just be careful. And I would just say wait this out and see how it goes. But overall, a mixed bag on this video. VLDR and Solo looking good. MULN might be a little scary. I'll throw that out there. And then Tesla has a nice gap fill if it fits. So hey, I hope you're learning. Thanks for watching.